Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's SAP Community Call. Good morning to you, or maybe good afternoon, wherever you are based in the world. I'm really happy that you tuned in today for our second call of the series. We had already our first call on November 22nd about SAP Build Process Automation. And today we are talking about SAP Build Work Zone and the news which have been announced at SAP TechEd last week. And we have a 30 minutes live stream today. So if you have any question, please feel free to write it in the chat during the call, and we are going to take it at the end of the presentation. And you see already I'm not alone, of course. I have Florian here with me. Florian Buech, he is a senior product manager for SAP BTP, Business Technology Platform, and he's our expert for today. And having this said, I hand over to you, Florian. The stage is yours. Have a great presentation.
Thank you so much, Svea. And also from my end, welcome everyone. Happy to be here today. Alrighty, let's kick us off. You should be able to see my slides now. And with this, let's jump right into it. So basically here, yeah. So as outlined in the intro, subject of today is SAP Build Work Zone, and all the exciting announcements that we've made around the product and some recent innovations that we've delivered, everything around the recent SAP TechEd event. Looking at the usual disclaimer here, I'm also going to provide an outlook, forward-looking statement, so please take that into account. I'm going to be highlighting some of this as well, hence the disclaimer. And with that being said, let's jump in. And I want to start with the big picture. This should be not so much of a surprise for those of you who are listening in now, how it all connects to BTP overall, and then level set the big picture of the exciting announcements we've done around SAP Build and how Work Zone connects to that. And then I'll deep dive into Build Work Zone in particular and how that relates to the announcements that we've made. So speaking of big picture, this is again, and we basically continue and double down on this strategy with our ultimate vision of achieving intelligent, sustainable enterprises, as you see on the top of the screen here. And the foundation for all of this is basically the business technology platform, as you see right here. And this is also going to be subject of today, because essentially the entire build solution offering, the build portfolio, as well as Build Work Zone in particular, are basically based on top of the business technology platform and hence a central part of this. This is then the business technology platform, of course, comes with various other additional capabilities for integration, for analytics, artificial intelligence, and many more capabilities. But fundamentally, it's the technology, the business-centric technology foundation for achieving the intelligent, sustainable enterprise. This is then accompanied with, or expanded with a number of basically line of business solutions, where SAP obviously has also a strong and rich history from spend management, human capital management, and many, many more. And then furthermore complemented by industry-specific end-to-end business processes and business process management overall. So if you take all of this combined, this is essentially our big picture vision and how BTP is the foundation for achieving this intelligent, sustainable enterprise. You'll heard a lot about this already as a TechEd. And this is again a reconfirmation, a doubling down on this strategy. Now, as part of BTP, one of the key announcements last week at TechEd was the SAP Build portfolio. And as it's depicted on this slide, SAP Build Work Zone is a member of this Build family, first of all. And just to recap and ensure everyone here is aligned on what the Build portfolio overall does, it's essentially combining our different low-code and no-code solutions into a unified portfolio and a unified offering, you could say, that empowers users, business users essentially, to create applications, automate tedious business process, and create engaging designing business sites, with using drag and drop simplicity. And essentially, you can see SAP Build Apps is the formerly known SAP AppGyver. SAP Build Process Automation is the former SAP Process Automation SPA offering. And SAP Build Work Zone is basically a product family of both the former SAP Launchpad service and the SAP Work Zone. I'll talk more about the Work Zone and the additions that comes with this as part of this session, as it's the focus of today. But as you can see, in terms of the big picture, Build Work Zone is that third pillar of the Build family, And this is where it comes together for the end user in a nutshell, because if you build exciting apps with build apps, you create and automate business processes, you want a place where these different artifacts and elements can come together in a unified, engaging experience for the user. And Build Work Zone is exactly that. It's this tool that allows you to create those sites, and bundle this, and make this content available for the users. That's fundamentally how this is done. Now, this is level setting, big picture, and the key announcements. Let's drill into the Build Work Zone aspect in particular, because there were already other sessions on, or will be other sessions, of course, on the other pillars of the Build portfolio. So within the Build Work Zone solution, let's first and foremost quickly recap the key motivation of what we're trying to achieve when we create these engaging digital experience with the Build Work Zone portfolio. And for those of you who have listened to the previous community calls, this will be a reconfirmation, a doubling down on the strategy and this motivation. So this is not changing. Fundamentally, our vision, as you'll see in just a minute, is remaining consistent, and we're basically ensuring and doubling down on this mission. So for explaining this mission or vision, however, I want to outline two challenge areas or problem statements, you could say. The first one I want to outline is basically the overall user journey that, as it presents itself today, is often disconnected, given that typically a user, this can be an internal and external user alike, traverses through a number of different user journeys, from HR-related topics going through training, benefits assignment, or more IT-related topics like fixing some equipment, or more spend-related topics like working through marketing results, cost planning, or other even procurement, production-related topics. So you can see there's a number of journeys that a user typically goes through. And in this context, the user then interacts with a number of potentially somewhat disconnected functional service centers, and furthermore interacts or requires the use of often disconnected system silos. So you can see the overall experience of this persona whilst going through those or traversing through those different journeys is suboptimal, because it's disconnected and there is not a single place to start for the user. This is from an employee or from a persona perspective, where the experience is disconnected or fragmented, you could say. Then secondly, we have a more administrator or an IT system landscape perspective. And in a nutshell, we see similar challenges where in reality of today's system landscapes, of a modern IT landscape, we see that it's often a combination of those multiple challenge areas outlined here. It's often just a pure number of systems, content repositories, and more, coming in a heterogeneous setup, meaning SAP and third-party systems alike, and often as a result of this, combining various types of content and UI technologies for the users to access. It's often done in a hybrid mode, so a combination of cloud and on-premise deployment, and users require access across various channels, inside or outside the corporate network, on a desktop or on a mobile device, or other sort of channels, multi-channel experiences alike. And what you can see as a result of this slide, as well as the previous slide, the challenge is kind of the same, which is the user is lacking a unified experience and a unified entry point to ensure that the experience that user is having is consistent and harmonized, albeit while accessing or having data and other pieces of information coming from those multiple business systems, be it SAP or non-SAP. Which is why, to conclude, our key vision, mission statement, if you so will, has been and continues to be that we want to provide a platform, more to what that platform is in just a second, an experience that helps users be more productive by intelligently providing access to these different previously outlined entities, applications, business processes, and information of any kind, really, anywhere on any device. Fundamentally, this is still and continues to be our mission statement of the Build Work Zone and the digital experience portfolio overall on business technology platform. So let's translate this now into a concrete product offering. And as outlined on the Build family or Build solution slide, the answer to this is our SAP Build Work Zone offering. at a glance, and again, there's a ton of content, of course, on this slide. So this is really just to show the richness and the broad range of capabilities that exist in the product. And first and foremost, and secondly, show or depict a potential scenario of how it can look like. So this is just an example of how you can design the system, but fundamentally it's showing just the many types of entities that you can place on the screen. So in a nutshell, our answer to solve the previously outlined challenges and achieve that very mission is by using SAP Build Work Zone. And in a nutshell, it combines different types of content, different types of artifacts. You can see structured and unstructured content, different business data and transactions in different visualizations forms across different channels, desktop as well as mobile, as seen on the screen. And this is all combined into a unified yet role-based experience for the different personas to give them the relevant pieces of information as they need, basically at their disposal, at their fingertips. That's in a nutshell, and sort of in an at-a-glance view, the broad range of capabilities from searching business data to being presented in different visualizations, structured and unstructured, as I said, all in a single place for the user. If we basically take this, we can see that obviously there's a broad range of capabilities, and depending on the requirement, not all of the capabilities may be equally important or equally required, depending on the scenarios you're trying to achieve, which is why SAP Build Work Zone basically comes in two editions and with accompanying or supersets of capabilities of another. In a nutshell, we have on the one hand side, depicted here at the bottom row of this slide, we have the so-called SAP Build Work Zone Standard Edition. More to that in just a couple of minutes as well of how this relates to existing services, as well as then the second offering, the second edition of the product, which is again, like I said, a superset of the other, is the so-called Advanced Edition. In a nutshell, the Standard Edition primarily focuses on the user being presented with relevant information that they need, but it's not focused on key users, creating the content or user interactivity and visibility of users among another. It's truly a me experience in the sense that I am, as a user, presented with the relevant apps, tasks, approval, processes, business content, holistically speaking, in a personalized and personalizable fashion, but ultimately it's presented to me and I am working in the system and it's relevant content for me. Fundamentally, this is this application or business process centric dimension that the Standard Edition provides. If you want to take these basically business apps, approvals, flexibility, role-based, and you want to take all of this and expand it further, you can then use the Advanced Edition, which builds on top of the Standard Edition, both technology-wise as well as functionality-wise. It's a true superset in that sense. And it further expands it by adding capabilities that enable different individuals, business users, key users to interactively own relevant parts of the experience, create their own content, as well as create different types of content. Have user discussion forums, knowledge-based articles, forums, other forms of web content management to share corporate news, multimedia assets, videos, and other structured and unstructured pieces of information that accompany the business data. Typical example, you want to not only give them access to leave requests, but you also want to provide policies around the leave request in a single place. This is where the combination of the web content and structured and unstructured content together with the business applications and processes would be valuable. And this is where then the Advanced Edition would become used, or it would become relevant. So essentially, this is our sort of the behind the scenes look on the portfolio of the Build Work Zone with the two editions. I'll talk about these editions in a few more details later throughout this session. First, what I want to talk about though is basically some of the innovations. And specifically, I want to highlight one very recent innovation that we've delivered that is already available in the Advanced Edition and something that we will also start adding to the Standard Edition going forward. And that is the so-called Workpage. And this nicely connects to the feature that I've explained literally just a minute ago, which is the idea of the Advanced Edition being able to empower those individuals, those business users, those key users to create and own relevant parts of the experience and create their own elements within, for instance, their own engaging workspaces where they can share the different content. And this is not then necessarily owned by a central administrator, but it's empowering the business user without having to write any code. They're able to then own and create those experiences relevant for their target audience, creating an onboarding experience, creating a supplier communication channel, and so many use cases more. So, and a key capability that is offered in this context in the advanced edition is already today, basically, or as of November, that is the so-called work page. And the work page is essentially the evolution of the different page editors and page building experience that we had in the former SAP Work Zone offering previously, which is now the SAP Build Work Zone Advanced Edition. More to that in just a minute on how the editions translate to existing or formerly available products. But essentially, this work page feature, this exciting new change, basically is this evolution, this enhancement of building these pages literally without writing code. So the idea is that a business user, a key user, a regular end user at the end of the day will be able to use this work page editor experience and create basically the grid-based layout and add different containers, we call those widgets, to those containers in the grid layout. And hence benefit from drag and drop simplicity, really achieving or realizing or leveraging a true what you see is what you get type editor experience. And ultimately, the work page feature is achieving and doubling down on this feature very much. And it's empowering these users, as I've alluded to. So you can see on the right-hand side, you can see an edit mode of such a work page. And this basically enables the individual users to make use of this. And in addition to that, you can see here, there's a bit of a context menu that allows users to go into, achieve the edit mode and also realize other elements like translate the page, copy, delete, and other moderation or other modifications and actions available to the page, to the work page specifically. And in order to make this work page powerful, I mentioned that it's creating this grid-based layout into which you then add different pieces of business content. And in order to make this a powerful experience, we provide an updated version of what we would call the widget catalog. It's a catalog experience that combines the ability of adding business tiles, UI integration cards, and out-of-the-box widgets, forum, content, feed, and much more, all basically in a single page building or work page creation experience. So fundamentally, we had basically page building experiences on the workspace, on the homepage, on the administrative area homepage. All of those existed before, and there were differences, and basically a page builder itself existed in Work Zone, in the former Work Zone edition. Now in the Build Work Zone Advanced Edition, we've expanded this page builder and harmonized it. So it's now truly a unified page building experience across all aspects of the Build Work Zone Advanced Edition product. And basically it's improved at the same time by adding new things like redo and undo, entering the edit mode in real time without waiting for the page to reload, just to name two examples of exciting enhancements in this space. This is one of the key product enhancements that is not directly related to the TechEd announcement. This is an enhancement we've delivered basically in the beginning of November, but nonetheless, it's important. And once you hear in the Outlook part, you understand that this is a fundamental offering or a fundamental feature in the harmonization of our product portfolio. And speaking of harmonizing the product portfolio, this is the second pillar, doubling down on or further exploring the TechEd elements that I want to explain now, which is basically this aspect that I've quickly touched upon already, which is the idea of having a single product offering with multiple editions. Just to recap, this basically announced offering is basically our Build Work Zone offering, which is the technology foundation for all the things that I'm about to show now. And in a nutshell, in creating these engaging experiences, we do see different use cases, as I've alluded to, different type of capabilities that are required and different capabilities overall that are required based on the customer scenarios. And realistically, or typically, we see three main segments of customers that are looking to create some form of a digital experience using business technology platform. There is, number one, a group of customers that wants a common homepage across the different cloud solutions that SAP provides, without further modifications or complex customization or a lot of initial setup work, but really key focus being cloud or single or common homepage across the cloud solutions, and really key focus being on ease of setup and ease of use, heavily emphasizing the out-of-the-box aspect of it. Then there's a second group or segment of customers and use cases that would like to have a combination of on-premise and cloud solution and would have a true common unified global entry point across the different local entry points that exist. And basically, of course, or basically on top of connecting those different local entry points into a unified global entry point, also make modifications, customizations, be it in the form of applying a branding, theming, logos, or also other forms of UI modifications to that, to really connect the different business apps, processes, services, etc., into a unified entry point. But as you can see, very much connecting to this idea of presenting ultimately a business application or process-centric experience for the user, not so much focused on basically user interactivity or user engagements, user engagement in the platform, which is then bringing me to the third segment of use cases, customers, and scenarios that we see, where there is a need for a true, what you consider a modern intranet, a true digital SAP-centric workplace experience that goes beyond further, or goes even beyond the unified access point to different apps, processes, and services, and further in sort of fosters and enables user interactivity, engagement, and sharing of structured as well as unstructured business data, be it corporate communication, announcements, documents, multimedia assets, and so much more. So you can see we basically have those three complementing segments of requirements that, as you can see, kind of build on top of another. And if we now look into our portfolio, we have, as a vision that is, a complementing product offering edition, you could say, of our unified offering, all based on the SAP Build Work Zone technology stack. So what we have as a start is an offering that is currently in beta. So it's available for beta customers to test. It's not yet generally available. This is planned to happen in 2023, which is the so-called SAP Start. And this is really addressing this unified single homepage across the different SAP Cloud offerings, focus on out-of-the-box simplicity, easy setup, and pre-configured, pre-built content in that single cloud-focused homepage experience, you could say. And technology-wise, this is built on the Build Work Zone product capabilities. If we then take these capabilities and translate basically the requirements of the second group or segment of scenarios that I've outlined in the previous slide, we get to our Build Work Zone Standard Edition. And you can see it's a superset. It's building on top of the scope of SAP Start, and it's achieving those previously outlined requirements. And then thirdly, further extending the Standard Edition, we get to our SAP Build Work Zone Advanced Edition. Both Build Work Zone Standard and Advanced Edition are available today, and basically are a transition from, or a rebranding and transitioning of our existing services. I have that on the literally next slide, so I'll talk about it in just a second. And of course, I talked about this being sort of a superset of another, hence what we also plan to offer, and again, just as a disclaimer, this is our vision at this point in time, we will then also want to offer an upgrade path starting from SAP Start to the Standard, respectively the Advanced Edition, of a true single product portfolio with multiple aligned editions that have complementing capability sets. And lastly, of course, share not only a common technology foundation, but also share common experiences like the Horizon theme, SAP Mobile Start as a common mobile client, and so much more. But you can see it's truly that vision that we have of a modular, hence the multiple edition product offering that is based on a single aligned technology foundation with complementing feature sets. You may ask, how does that translate, or how does that relate to existing offerings, namely the offerings SAP Launchpad Service in Work Zone, which we talked about previously in these kind of rounds. And really, just to highlight that, as of the TechEd event last week, the SAP Launchpad Service is basically now the SAP Build Work Zone Standard Edition, and the former SAP Work Zone is now the SAP Build Work Zone Advanced Edition. This renaming in the product has already happened for the Advanced Edition. For the Standard Edition, so the current Launchpad, this is targeted then to be completed by January of next year. And just to avoid confusion, these are not new products. So if you're currently using either of the two services on the left, this does not mean a migration. This is basically a harmonization in terms of the branding, capabilities, and adding new things to it. This is not a new product, so there's no need for migration or anything like this. And in case you're asking about SuccessFactors Work Zone, SuccessFactors Work Zone does not adopt the Build brand, though think about it that way. SAP SuccessFactors Work Zone is a SuccessFactors or line of business solution that is building on top of the SAP Build Work Zone Advanced Edition, just like today. So it's basically using that same product set and same capabilities as the Build Work Zone Advanced Edition does in a vanilla version, if you so will. But fundamentally, that is that. And this is how the existing offerings translate or transition into the new names and new product names and new experiences, which of course, this is now something that is happening subsequently over the subsequent coming quarters and releases, where more and more capabilities will further get aligned across those different product editions, and more capabilities will get added accordingly. More to that also in the Outlook, which I want to come to now, which is basically my last slide for today, which is what's next. I talked about upgrade path, SAP Start being planned, rebranding. Let's look at the investment holistically. What are our key investment areas across our portfolio? And again, these can be summarized into two main buckets. Very prominently also present throughout this session is, of course, unifying of the experience. I'll talk about that in just a minute, what that means in more detail. And then secondly, further expanding the product scope. Build is a critical and very vital component in this entire growth and expansion of product scope use cases and more. But again, more to that in just a minute. So first, to unifying the experience. First and foremost, of course, the harmonization and unification of the experience is targeted to be done both on a desktop and mobile perspective, which means that we want to harmonize the experience across the different product editions, as well as across the different channels via which you can access those different editions, so that you truly have a harmonized experience and an optimized experience for both your desktop and your mobile, and then also leveraging Mobile Start as the targeted single common mobile experience across the editions. In the idea of the product editions and the superset, there are still several product differences of features that exist in the standard edition today that are not yet available in the advanced edition. And in order to achieve this true upgrade path and superset of capabilities, we're basically hard at work of resolving those remaining gaps, so that, for example, the task center can be integrated also in the advanced edition, or the notification service can be integrated, just to name two examples. And as a result, essentially enable this upgrade path, basically both from standard to the advanced edition, but also from the SAP Start offering as our foundational cloud entry page experience, as alluded to on the previous slide, basically starting from SAP Start all the way to the advanced edition as a unified offering with a consistent upgrade path as an option. The other dimension of key investment for us is essentially expanding the product further, growing the scope. And this encompasses a number, or includes a number of areas. Again, areas around enterprise readiness, mass content handling, performance improvement, continuous security, high availability enhancements, and so much more. We want to deal with and handle and offer basically, or support, I should say, the most complex scenarios and volumes and customer scenarios. So enterprise readiness is a continuous area of investment for us, of course. Secondly, we of course enhancing existing capabilities to further meet the need of customers. And basically, in this context, we're also working together with the different SAP and partner teams to provide more and more pre-built, pre-packaged business content. And while that is, of course, great that we work more and more on integration and offering additional integration content, we also will work further on making it even easier to leverage the overall build portfolio to create additional business content, namely deeper integration with SAP Build Apps and SAP Build Process Automation for having that true harmonized build portfolio and being able to truly then create those different extensions and business content with formerly mentioned solutions integrated or connected to Build Work Zone. And then last but not least, sort of connecting to this low-code, no-code story and other areas, additional true innovations. The recommendation engine or recommendation for content, just as an example here, fundamentally, truly innovations to be delivered. And basically, this summarizes our key investment areas. If you want to learn more about concrete roadmap items that are coming for the coming weeks or quarters, I should say, always recommended to visit the Roadmap Explorer. That's the best place. There you always find our most up-to-date product roadmap. And with that, I know we're basically at the bottom of the hour. If there's any immediate questions in the chat, I'd be more than happy to address them. Otherwise, already thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you, Florian. Thanks for giving more insights about the changes in SAP Work Zone after the announcement last week. And I think it was a great presentation, and we have already great feedback that people are going to join our builders community. And I have provided so many links during you were talking about the SAP community, where to find the topic pages, and also where to find the builders group, which we have also published last week. And yeah, so this was the second call of the whole series, and there is one more upcoming. It's on upcoming Monday. So everyone who's interested in the SAP Build apps changes, definitely recommend to join that call, and I will paste it here in the chat. So there is no question. So you have explained it really very well. And I can only thank you for having been part of this series, Florian, again. And for everyone, I wish everyone a great day. Of course, you as well, Florian, and hope to see you in one of the next calls and initiative in SAP community. So thanks.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Svea.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.